Have you answered your call and commission by Christ to go into the world and unashamedly proclaim His name? The church as a whole is in desperate need of breaking outside of its bubble. Cultural immersion can take shape in many different forms, whether it means stepping out of your neighborhood and into the inner city or hopping on a plane across the globe. It is important for everyone to gain a more diverse understanding of the world. As Christians, we are called to go and spread the good news of the gospel, and without immersing ourselves in the culture that God has called us to, it is impossible to reach others. As a third culture kid, I know from personal experience what it means to step out of your comfort zone and into the unknown. Growing up in Israel from 6th through 12th grade, not only did I get to dive into Jewish and Israeli culture, I also got to experience many others. Because of these experiences, I gained a better understanding of how people in different cultures view God and the world, which enabled me to better connect my beliefs to theirs. Within the American culture, there is a desperate need for individuals to step outside of their comfort zones and into the unknown of different cultures. God calls us to go into the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation in Mark 16:15. Without cultural immersion, this is an impossible feat. Throughout my speech, I will give an overview of why it is so important for people within the church to expose themselves to different cultures. I will discuss the different ways to diversify your cultural surroundings, and finally I will close with why biblically we are called to immerse ourselves in other cultures. So let's get started. Cultural immersion is desperately needed within the church in the United States. Within the U.S., there is an obvious church bubble in which many Christians like to take shelter. In his article on churchleaders.com, Jay Caruso described it as such. Christians are often like a football team that likes to huddle. We love to huddle, but we keep on huddling. Nobody ever wants to yell break and move beyond the huddle. He goes on to say in the same article that Christians choose to run from culture. Nowhere in the Bible are we called to hide our faith from the world. In fact, we're told to do the opposite. In Luke 24:47, it tells us that the story of the gospel should be proclaimed in His name to all nations, beginning with Jerusalem. Which leads me to my next point. There are many different means of culturally diversifying your surroundings. In the last passage of scripture that I referenced, Luke 24:47, Jesus is telling His disciples that they should proclaim His name among the nations, but that they should start with Jerusalem. By telling them to begin in Jerusalem, essentially what He's telling them is to start with what they know. In the study on regional subcultures of the United States, it was found that the entire population of U.S. counties can be